Hi, I'm Chelsea Lanehart. I am a student at Community College of Baltimore County. I am speaking about Robert Coles and the theory of moral development. Robert Coles was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1929 to his mother Sandra Young Coles and his father Philip Coles. His father, engineer from Leeds, England. His mother, a schoolteacher from Sioux City, Iowa. Robert Coles did voluntary work as an advocate for the poor and elderly residents of Boston. As Coles got older, he married a woman named Jane Holloway, with whom he collaborated with on many projects. Coles and Jane had 3 sons. Robert Coles studied literature at Harvard University. Coles did so well in his major he graduated with an honors in 1950. Through all his studies, he came to meet William Carlos Williams, who was a physician also. Being friends with Williams, he influenced Coles to study medicine. After Coles graduated from the University of Boston, he became a pediatrician. In 1958, Coles joined the Air Force after thinking he was going to be drafted. He actually ended up being assigned to the Air Force base in Biloxi. After being stationed in the Air Force in Mississippi, in the early 1960s, Coles was faced with chaos, which was around the time of the integration. He wanted to speak with a little girl named Ruby Bridges. Coles never knew what a huge impact this little girl was going to have on his life. Ruby was a little girl who was threatened and hated, all because she was an African American going to attend a school in New Orleans. Coles had a conversation with Ruby Bridges and soon was going to find out that Ruby Bridges had a heart of gold. Ruby once told Coles that she felt sorry for those people that wanted to kill her. Coles asked, "Why do you feel sorry for them?" Ruby responded with, "Well, don't you think they need feeling sorry for?" Coles was amazed that this little girl thought these people needed to feel sorry for. Coles tried to help her realize that maybe she was angry at these people trying to kill her. Coles didn't know what to say. He sat in silence and was amazed and bitter and anxious, and she was telling me that she prayed for them. I was struck dumb and I sat silent because I had to reflect upon this child, his wisdom. She was smart enough to understand, without taking courses in the social sciences or other fields of inquiry, what happens to people. Apparently, this Ruby Bridge experience greatly influenced his choice of life's work. He never established conventional psychiatric practice. According to several accounts, Coles was a child psychiatrist, a professor, and a medical humanities at Harvard, and an author of more than 60 books, a civil rights activist, a spokesman person for volunteerism and community service, who is most noted for the observation of the lives of children affected by poverty, political turmoil, and social injustice. He recorded his observations, the stories of children, students, volunteer workers, and others. He has traveled the world collecting the stories. It seems that he believes that the stories of those he interviewed speak for themselves and require no interpretation, particularly the professional interpretation of a psychiatrist. I am not a survey social scientist. I can claim no definitive conclusion about what any group feels or thinks. One can only insist on being as attentive as possible, claiming only impressions, observations, thoughts, reflections, surmises, speculations, and in the end, a way of seeing. I am essentially to evoke, suggest rather than to pursue a more cognitive approach or psychopathological orientation. Coles is a bit difficult to follow. In his writing and when being interviewed, he moves in, out, and around a subject with his thoughts and impressions and his storytelling format, making it difficult to identify the elements of his position on any particular theme. One theme does seem to offer elements that form a theory of moral development, but is not identified by Coles as a theory. The following elements have been identified by others as his theory of moral development. Behavior of parents, teachers, peers, etc. shapes the moral character of children. Learning occurs through life stories. Children possesses moral sensitivity to ideas and values, what is right and what is wrong, and reasons behind what people do, think, and feel. Children are concerned morally with issues linked to their everyday lives. The connection between stories and volunteer service has a transformational influence. According to Coles, children receive their moral education, day-to-day experiences, and observing and imitating adults. Parents must teach by example. A list of rules is not effective. The rule of thumb is do as I do and forget the do as I say part. Coles say a young child mimics the adults with whom the child has the closest relationships. Children determine what is right and what is wrong from what they see around them and by listening to one another. They notice who gets along with whom and why. Moral character is shaped from infancy through adolescence. Coles believes that as children grow older and are exposed to the values of society at large, their moral standards get set aside. He suggests that volunteer service being required during higher education would encourage maintenance of those standards. Robert Coles didn't propose theories. He told the stories of storytellers. He didn't just tell the stories, he used his influence and took action to reduce the hardship, suffering, and social injustice he saw in the lives of his storytellers. Coles had continued to support social reform and has strived to eliminate social injustice. For his humanitarian efforts, he received the Pulitzer Prize for his 5-volume series, Children of Crisis, in 1973, selection as a MacArthur Fellow in 1981, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1998, and the National Humanities Medal in 2002. Ellie is an active, curious little redhead who is 2 months shy of being 3 years old. When asked how old she is, she pipes up with 16. When asked again, she ducks her head and quietly says, 2. She and her parents just moved about 2 weeks ago to an individual family home 3 doors down from where her grandparents and uncle and aunt live. The homes are in an older established suburb minutes from the heart of the city. Ellie spends about 10.5 hours during the work week with her grandparents. Her parents are around 40 years old and have been married to each for 19 years. Ellie's father completed 2 years of work toward an accounting degree and serves as a sales representative for a wholesale distributor. Her mother received a master's degree and serves as a counselor for students at a university. After many heart-wrenching experiences, Ellie survived and arrived and has filled the lives of her family members with lots of joy and just enough chaos to make it all real. Most of Ellie's time is spent with adults. with her parents, friends of her parents, grandparents, friends of her grandparents, uncle and aunt, friends of her aunt and uncle, great aunts and great uncles, and until recently her great grandfather. Very few people spoke baby talk to her at any point in her life. Ellie plays one-on-one with a child about her age a few times a month. She gets excited when is told that it is to happen, but gets even more excited when is told she's going to a birthday party, even when there is 8 or 9 parties for children, 8 of 9 weekends in a row. Ellie has met several milestones identified as those accomplished by a 3-year-old. In the category of language, she asks questions about what she has heard. Many people, to include strangers, have commented that she is easy to understand. She uses positive words, saying, I have to get ball under the couch, get flashlight up there. In the cognitive development domain, she on more than one occasion has searched for a tool to fix a toy and make sure screws have been tightened by using a screwdriver to check the screws. Sometimes she says, I have an idea. I have to investigate. She is using more advanced problem skills, testing her understanding and idea in real situations. Relative to social development is her ability to recognize when she should apologize and saying she is sorry steps on the toes of a child or an adult or spills something on them. Ellie demonstrates that she is able to understand that she understands the feelings of others. Ellie recently awakened her parents, telling them she was scared because there was monsters in her room and that they made noises. She said she saw them in the light on the ceiling. She is in a new room with a ceiling fan above her. A nightlight caused a shadow of the fan on the ceiling. This is an indicator of her emotional growth, imagining that unfamiliar images are monsters. She moves with confidence and stability, coordinating movements to accomplish simple tasks. Physically, she is becoming more skilled. Ellie moves down a stairway with ease, carrying a stuffed animal in one arm and holding the rail with another hand. Regarding her moral development, Ellie glances at her mother to seek permission to touch a toy on a shelf in a store or to take a cookie from the table. And is it okay look? Her mother responds with a slight nod if she approves. Ellie uses please and thank you appropriately. Her mother arranged a playroom in the new house while Ellie was elsewhere. When Ellie saw the room, she giggled, jumped up and down, saying repeatedly, Thank you, Mommy! Thank you, thank you! She averts her eyes and tries to shrink out of sight when she's caught in a little fib. Sometimes she covers her face with her hands. When she gets things right, she puffs up her chest and grins broadly. She imitates her parents and caregivers while playing, frequently offers to help them with whatever they are doing. She enjoys Bible studies and sometimes asks to read stories from Aesop's fables.